I was like, this isn't what I like. Yeah. Like, wow, this band usually doesn't sound like this, but today they do. All right, you ready?
Good, man. Yes, bring it on.
All right, so hi, I'm Mike Neglia. We make videos like this from time to time, mostly for the benefit of the congregation of Calvary, Cork, but obviously it's beneficial to potentially many more, we hope. I'm here with Chris Kleinlow from Calvary Chapel, Heidelberg, and we're here at a pastor's conference in Germany, and we discovered that we're both teaching the same book at pretty much the same pace. So what book have we been teaching?
First Samuel. We've been teaching First Samuel, and same pace means a chapter a week.
Chapter a week, yeah, kind of slowing down.
We're hoping to get through there by the end of next year. It's January now.
It will happen. So just recently, how it turns out is that I'm in chapter 18, having just finished the famous story of David and Goliath, and Chris is right in the middle of it right now.
Yes.
So I just thought, wouldn't it be great to just sit and just to ask him some questions about that famous story of David and Goliath. So Chris, why is that story so famous, and what have you taken from it as you've been meditating on it recently?
Why is it famous? Well, I think it's famous because it's this exciting kid's story with a little kid beating Goliath, tall, 2.90 meters tall, just a big dude.
Yeah.
What excited me so much, just going into it, diving into it, and finding all these details that are so beautiful. They show us so much about the greatness of God and and how little and how incapable actually David was to deal with this, but how he trusted this great God. And I just see it a great encouragement for all of us.
Well, was there something that you came across that you were surprised to find out? Obviously, this is one of those famous stories. We've heard it many times.
Yes.
But did you come across something that for you personally was new?
Well, I would say a few things.
Okay.
First of all, to see his servant's heart of doing the task of a servant. He's out with the sheep again. It's like the lowest job again. Yeah. And his father again comes to him and gives him another servant's task. This really low, hey, I want you to go to your brothers and find out. If it were a special job, he would have chosen one of the other 4 brothers.
Wow, yeah.
But he took him. And what does David do? David doesn't sit there and pounce and says, man, I'm the youngest, nobody's taking care of me anyways. No, it says here in chapter 17, 1 Samuel, verse 20, and he rose up early. And he got up so early that he arrived at the camp before David Goliath got up in the morning. That's 35 kilometers. And for me, it excites me so much to see his heart of a humble servant. No matter what the cost, no matter how he's being treated, no matter how he's being looked down upon, he's just going to serve. He's just going to do it. So
and great job pointing out that he was serving as a shepherd already, which was a low position, and then he got the job of a cheese delivery boy. So from low to lower.
Yes.
Certainly that makes me think of Philippians 2, which talks about Jesus, the great son of David, who humbled himself to the point of becoming a man and then dying, and then even the death of a cross. Right. So there's no task from the Father that's too low for David or for the son of David, Jesus.
Yes. And who then, David, in a sense, there's even the parallel to the point that David was willing to serve in such a way to risk his own life. Mm-hmm. He put his life on the line.
Absolutely.
Just that Jesus did actually put his life on the line for all of us, yes.
So what's another thing that you really enjoyed coming across? Obviously we're preaching to 2 different congregations.
Exactly.
What did you feel the Lord put on your hearts to communicate to the church in Heidelberg?
A big thing that God had for us in Heidelberg was, you see up to verse 26 of this chapter, God is not part of this picture. God is not being talked about. There's Goliath, he's not even defying God. He's only defying the armies of Israel. Yeah. He's only making fun of Israel. He says, I am a Philistine, and you are servants of Saul. He's not making fun of God or anything like that. And then, but at the same time, you don't see any Israelite on his knees, it's like, God, help me, God, please, or something like that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking God. Then David comes in and he brings in the true identity of the people of Israel.
Right.
We're the armies of the living God.
Yeah.
We're not just anyone. We're not just small in relation to the big Goliath, but we're the armies of the living God. We're God's own.
That's great.
And He will take care of us. And for us, that was the message from last Sunday, really the main point. Whatever Goliath God has in your life and allows in your life, make sure that you know who God is, and make sure that you know who you are in Him. That you are a child of the living, God.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
That was what I saw. David bringing God into the picture.
Yeah, like realizing the significance
Exactly.
of this, that this is more than just a territorial dispute.
Exactly.
Yeah, but for them at that period in redemptive history, that is the involvement of God in the world.
Yes. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I know you haven't gotten to the second half.
Yes.
But I imagine you've been thinking about this throughout this week. Are you preaching this Sunday or next week?
I'll have a guest speaker there. But,
okay.
Yes.
But when you come to it, what are you looking forward to about the second half?
Well, I don't know. There's so many things and so many small things, but they express such big faith on David's side.
Okay.
David taking his time to take these stones and being so, he chose these stones. He's so precise.
Sure.
He takes his time. And then it says that he ran up to Goliath. He wasn't waiting. He wasn't hiding. He was out there. He was jumping up at him. And then David's, in a sense, even ruthlessness. He takes that sword of Goliath and cuts off his head, and then you see him the rest of the chapter, and even beginning of next chapter 18, you see David walking around. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And from the descriptions here, he's probably under the age of 20 at this point.
Okay, yeah.
And he's holding this head of Goliath in his hand all the time.
Yeah. There's a shocking or brutality to it, huh?
Oh, man.
And you're like, why do we teach this story to our kids?
Yes. I think this part is being left out in Sunday school most of the time, I believe. But he doesn't hide. And this is what I find so interesting. There's not a selfish pride in him, but there's a pride in the God who he serves. And I believe this reflects what he's doing there. He's carrying his head around. He's holding his head. And it's not about the brutality there. I really feel it's about his excitement about the greatness of this God giving him this victory. Him as a small kid holding up this head of Goliath all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not, I'm not the guy, but it's, look guys, what God can do. See what God can do. And this is what the whole thing is. See what God can do. See what God can do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and it's great to see his confidence in the work of God at the end,
Yes.
expressed there. But as we looked at it as a congregation in Cork, we were really encouraged to see that the confidence that David had before the battle. And he, of course, in verse 36 and 37, he speaks about God delivering him in the past against lions and bears, etc., and saying, I have a confidence that this same God, will deliver me, and through this action deliver the nation of Israel through this. So there is a confidence that is perhaps easy to have at the end of a victory, but then he has a confidence not in himself but in God before the victory as well, which is wonderful, and it just comes from knowing God and having a great relational history with this God, and knowing that he has been trustworthy and faithful up until this point. So why should he stop now? And so we were really encouraged to look at this and remember congregationally the good things that God had done in 2013, the people that he brought to faith, the baptisms that we've celebrated, the maturing that we've seen. And then, as you mentioned, it's January now, and saying, why shouldn't God continue to save more people and to see more people discipled and to have more victory in our city in 2014? So we wanted to have that confidence, going into a new year.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to, around December, figuratively be carrying around the head of the giant.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, it's a great passage. And any closing thoughts for the gang in Cork and whoever in YouTube land might watch this?
I love to apply, to see, or to apply David and these passages in a way to who we are.
Sure.
And to point out David was not a perfect man. Even in this passage, which, you'll get to it later. If you study, you can see it. There was a huge character flaw in David's life. You can see that, which goes through his entire life. It will cost his kids' lives because he's got this character flaw.
Yeah.
But it's just this beautiful thing that God can do these great things with small, inappropriate, unfit, ill-equipped, immature people if they trust Him and have this confidence.
Yeah.
And have a love. Come on, we see in David, he had a love for the Lord. He had a love and a dedication for the Lord, and that's why he was so useful in the hands of God, and was an honor to God. And I hope that this is something we carry out with it. That David, the weak, little, small, the youngest, the weakest, the insignificant, David would, that it doesn't matter how we feel about ourselves. If we trust God and find our identity in who He is, we're the child of the living God, He can do these great things. So
that's fantastic.
So Cork, bless you. Remember, God can do great things with you guys.
Yeah, well, fantastic. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks.
And enjoy